Good morning, everyone. I'm a little earlier than normal, but this is moving day. My moving day is in 2 stages this time. I have to clean my stuff out of the house, and then I got to go to my storage unit and put my camping gear back in. Knowing that, of course, this time I now have my camera equipment. So I'm not 100% sure I can take everything. Okay. I'm seated in a different seat today. We're in a different way. I tripped and fell on my knee, but it's okay, thank God. We'll see how I feel at the end of the day. Right now it doesn't hurt because I hit solidly. I did come down with some force, but I hit solidly. So the one that you never want to do when you trip or fall is to twist something. Most of our joints aren't made to twist. They're made to have impact, but not twist. Anyhow, someone brought up something to me, and I just kind of want to talk about this one on this video. I find it impossible to be a Christian. Now, I'm baiting you, so don't go running off in different directions. Every one of us finds it impossible to be a Christian. If you've grown up going to church, you know what the rules are. You know how you're supposed to look and appear and how you're supposed to talk. We can all do that on our own without the Spirit. I'm an actor. I know what it's like to act. I can act like a Christian. The key is we're not supposed to be Christians without Christ. If Christ isn't leading us and we're leading ourselves, yes, it's impossible to be a Christian. Just ask the Jews who've had the Mosaic law for years. They couldn't do it. They still can't do it. Even when they get their new temple, they still can't do it. Of course, they're going to be following the wrong Messiah, the anti-Messiah. I'm using anti-Messiah as opposed to antichrist. It's the same thing, depending on which language you want to talk in. But for the Jews, he's going to come along and he's going to get a treaty going so they can build their temple. And when they do, they're going to be worshiping him for a little while. And once he's got control, then he's going to step up and say, okay, worship me now. That's the price you pay for worshiping the Antichrist, which for all practical purposes is Satan. The Antichrist is to Satan what Jesus is to God. Of course, they're at their appropriate levels of ability and power. On a scale of 1 to 1,000,000, and that's probably not high enough, but I don't want to go numbers that we don't understand. On a scale of 1 to 1,000,000, God is at 1,000,000. Satan may be at 10. He has no power against God. And only what God tells him he can do, can he do. He had limits when he dealt with Job. He's got limits now, so. But on that same scale from 1 to 1,000,000 where Satan's at 10, we're at 0.00000001. He can kick our butts. He can confuse us, lead us in the wrong direction. He can do pretty much anything he wants to do with us, if God lets him. The longer we go with him down here, the more powerful he's going to get. By the 6th and 7th seal and the 7th or 6th trumpet, he's going to have an awful lot of power. When the pit is open, he's going to gain all of his friends that are so bad they were locked up. The Antichrist is going to be happy for the Apollyon. You can't do it alone. And if you're doing this on your own, you're probably exhausted. tired. Don't do it on your own. Even if you're working 16 hours a day, it's physically tiring. But if you've got God with you and you're happy at what you're doing, you're going to have more energy than you know what to do with. Don't do it on your own. You can't. That's why Christians backslide. They fall away because they learn the rules, learn how to act like a Christian, and then say, okay, God, I've got it, or they just plain forget. And they go off on rabbit trails. I do it all the time when I'm talking. But talking, I can come back immediately, if I'm paying attention. And if you're paying attention as a Christian, you can see where you're slipping away. It's getting harder to do. What's coming is going to get very hard. Now, I still think we're going to see things start this year. Do we have a rapture this year? From what I see coming, I'd say logically yes. I was on YouTube yesterday, and it surprised me how many people were talking about doomsday, how many people were talking about nuclear war, how many people were talking about prepping and what do you do if these things happen. I had my regular channels of my preachers that are talking, but I'm not seeing them as much as I am all this other stuff. The world is frightened. The world sees what's coming, and the world is prepping. It feels just like it did back in the 60s. And it's Russia again, isn't it? I don't see anybody selling bomb shelters, but I see people buying things. Buying extra food, things to deal with radiation, so they're buying iodine pills. Potassium iodine, when you take it, it protects your internal organs from absorbing, like your thyroid. If there's radiations, some of your organs are designed to absorb bad things, and radiation is a bad thing. It's not designed to deal with the doses that we could possibly get. We don't know, if they break the nuclear taboo with the small nukes, what's going to happen? You don't want to do this on your own, believe me. If you're a Christian, you're going to die a Christian, physically die a Christian, if we don't get to the rapture. Nuclear bombs can kill Christians too, physically. Not the second death, but physically. Like I put up on my page, the meme, it's location, location, location. Where do you want to spend eternity? You want to be in the best place with the best view. Always. But you've got to make sure that you're paying attention and you don't get distracted. Every magician knows in sleight of hand it's distraction. While you're watching hand A, hand B is coming over on the other side, and I can't do it because I'm holding on to the selfie stick. And also people expect to see certain things. If he's got something in his hand, you expect to see it disappear. So when it disappears, you don't question what you're thinking and what you're seeing. Same thing's going to happen with the world. We're expecting calamity, disaster. We're expecting a major earthquake. If you look in Revelation, there's an earthquake coming. Excuse me. That's the strongest one that's ever happened since man has been on the earth. That's a pretty big quake. It's going to level cities. And we're not even talking about nuclear destruction. We're not talking about asteroids hitting the earth. We're talking about an earthquake so big that it's going to help level mountains even. Where's it going to hit? Well, the most likely places are around the Ring of Fire, but who knows? Is it going to hit the West Coast? They're due. What about Japan, India, on the other side, the islands? There's plenty of places for big earthquakes. And the thing is if you get this massive one, it's going to trigger a lot of the little ones that haven't gone off yet. There is a guy on YouTube that's doing pretty good at predicting. And I think that there's stuff going on there too, because he's having trouble getting his word out. But I don't want to go into too many conspiracy theories. There's probably enough out there to keep all of us busy. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to get out of bed and put your feet on the floor until you've checked in with God. You don't want to get up and start your coffee till you've checked in with God. You can sit and have a cup of coffee with Him, but make sure you're talking to Him all the way. In fact, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to open your mail. You might get a paper cut. You have no control of this earth. None whatsoever. You can't make anything happen. You can't. I'm looking at acorns falling down out of the trees again. The squirrels are up there. Let's see if I get hit on the head. You can't do any of it. God can do all He wants, anything He wants. Satan can do what God lets him. And Satan's going to be doing miracles. If you see anybody doing miracles in this day and age, I'd be leery. If I started doing miracles, be leery. It's a dangerous world, and we're talking about a spiritual war here. All this earthly stuff is a distraction. The spiritual war is waging right now. We're about ready to have Satan down here on earth with a third of his angels, but that's him and one angel could probably wipe out the world anyway. He's doing a mass coverage because he's not omnipresent. He's putting his angels all over as his eyes and ears. God's omnipresent, but Satan's not. That's why he has to have help. Okay. I'm going to do a Bible study after this. I'll probably wait till I get to the camp to do it. I'm concerned about internet, so we're going to have to wait and see what that looks like. It'd be nice if I could get this done before I leave, but I've got to get on the road now. It's getting late. I got to get there before the park closes, because if I don't, theoretically, somebody could move into my site. So I have to get there. I have to be there by 5. I still got to go to my storage unit and finish loading up everything. I don't need everything that I need for the trip, because I'm not heading out west yet. But there's things that I've found that I'm going to take with me on my trip. I don't know if I'm going to get everything in. We're just going to have to prioritize. If it fits, we go. I might have to wear 3 layers of clothes so I don't have to have a place to put them. But it's if I'm going to go all the way out west, it's a full day's drive. 24-hour day, not 12-day. So it's 3 days. Now, I have made it in, what are my last 2 trips? I went out to Utah on. I made it in like a day and a half, just straight driving, non-stop. You stop for a bathroom break for 5 minutes. You may take a cat nap for 5-10 minutes, but I've done it. Very tired and sleepy when I got back. But I had a place to come back to, so I just came back and we were there, unpack in the morning. I don't want to do that. I want to go leisurely. It'd be nice if I could find a place to stop along the way and pitch up my tent so I could camp along the way. It should take me 2 or 3 days, but I'm still, to tell you the truth, I'm hesitant now about going. because God has told me that something's going to happen in the next month. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. So I'm worried about my family here. We have to see what happens. So if I only go a state away, I only have to go a state back if I need to come back. I'm a survivalist. They're not. I can handle if the power grid goes down. If we have a nuke go off here, even if it's a dirty nuke, it's going to knock out power. It's going to knock out cell service, at least in the area. If you've got a landline, which most people don't, it will take it down initially. It may fry all the equipment. So even if they get the circuits back open, you may not have a working phone. I've seen phones destroyed by lightning, at least parts of them. I tried to work on an old rotary phone one time. Ring, ring, ring. You had to control the number of rings that people would hear, and they'd know if it was 2 rings, it was their phone. If it was 3, it was theirs. And it was a party line. Anybody could pick up and listen. But lightning hits that wire, and it got into the phone, and it took out the sound. I could talk. They could hear me, but I couldn't hear them. So I had to wait till the neighbors talked to each other, and then they got back to somebody who came to me. And so now I know the next time I ever have to do something like that is announce who I am and where I am and what I'm doing so that people will know. I have some radios, ham circuits and general CB circuits, but they're not transmitters, they're only receivers. I can hear what's going on, but I can't communicate. I never really got into that, so I don't have any of the equipment, and it's fairly expensive now, and I'm not sure I want it. And anyway, whatever it is, we're not going to be in the movie, with John Travolta and Forrest, what's his name? CQ. I don't think we're going to find that. And I have a cat with me again. This one cat came from somebody's house because he's too friendly. People tend to dump their cats outside when they're tired of them. That's not a good thing. And then you've got crazy cat ladies like we have here, where inside there's 6 cats, I think. And I think there's probably 5 or 6. That's the ones I've been feeding and cleaning up after for the last couple of days. I've taken care of them today. Yeah, I know. I have a cat over here. Let me see if I can get to it. Meow. I don't know the name of this one, and this one's got claws. I had 2 indoor cats. They've passed away this last year, so I could travel. God was helpful in that, gracious in that. And you're kneading on my knee, so stop it. Mine were declawed in front, so they wouldn't tear up furniture. None of the ones here are declawed, so most of the furniture, especially the cloth furniture, has got rips in the back. It's like, why do I bother to take care of all this stuff? Well, I know it's difficult, and if you get it when they're young, the declawing isn't as bad as if you try to do it in their old age. It's something that helps them to get along. But all animals, if you're used to them and you've had them for a long time, their last few years are a problem. They can't control their bowels. They have other issues. Some may go blind. Some have other problems. They can't walk. If you got a dog, you're going to have hip dysplasia if they're old enough and big enough. Chihuahuas probably won't, but if you got anything larger than 70 pounds, they're going to have hip problems. But animals are good to practice on, especially dogs. Cats are good at helping you to deal with people. people who don't care what you have to say. That's cats. There's a work truck and a bobcat. Dogs have a certain vocabulary. I don't remember what it is, but cats are like double the vocabulary of dogs. They just don't want to talk. They don't want to respond. You know, you're not the master with the cat, you're the slave. So that's a good way to teach you to be with other Christians and with God. Dogs, on the other hand, you can treat them badly, and some people do, and they still are just fully loving. So we have these domesticated animals to show us how we need to be. And you don't want to go out alone. Okay. See you in the clouds. Don't be distracted by what's going on around us. It's going to continue to gradually get worse. We're told that. Okay, let's look at our Bible study for our message today. When I was talking about being a Christian without Christ, I'm not talking about some of these denominations. I was kind of tongue-in-cheek about this. We do too many things on our own without relying on Christ. I can do this, God, I got it. You don't need to help me. You don't know anything about anything to be able to say that. Now you can ask God, is it okay if I do this? You've given me the direction that I'm going to go. Let me see if I can go for a little ways here. It's like a baby trying to walk. It's okay to let them try as long as you are standing there, so if they fall, you remove the obstacles out of the way, of course. God does the same thing with us. It is warmer down here in my new campsite. I'm going to include some video at the end, so watch for it. And there's things in bloom still down here. My throat is wanting to seize up. You saw the pictures in the beginning of this video. I was still in North Georgia. I'm now essentially in South Georgia, about an hour or so from the border with Florida, and where I'm going to go when I'm going to do my filming. And I might even throw some footage from that on the end of this, so watch for the bonus footage at the end. Anyhow, my point with all this is that the longer you've been a Christian, the more prone we are to forgetting that even though we may know how to do this, we may know how to witness to somebody. God may say, don't go to that person, go to that person over there. Did you pick up on that? You know, you could witness, but you got to witness to the one that God wants you to witness. You may end up witnessing to both, but somebody needs to hear the message more than the other. That's why we can't do anything without Christ. So make sure that in the morning you're clear with God what you're doing. When you go to sleep at night, make sure you're clear. I don't know if I'm going to like this light here. I feel like I got a parrot on my shoulder. Arr! Anyhow, let's look at our scriptures. I'm in John 15. Jesus speaking. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. That's something to think about. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes. Ouch. That it may bear more fruit. There's always a good reason. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. That's Jesus speaking. He is the Word. Abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, and we're the branch. If you don't work with Christ, you can't bear fruit. Even if you think you are, there's something wrong. Unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. So, the bottom line to that all is that in everything we do, you walk across the street, you get up and you go to the market, whatever it is, you drive your car, you walk, the people you talk to, everything that you do, if it's guided by the Spirit, and all you got to do is just say, Jesus, please help me as I'm doing this. If you don't want me to do it, tell me, and if you do want me to do it, help me to do it. That's all you got to do. But it's not, excuse me, Jesus, I'll be right back. Got people pulling into camp. I'm glad they brought their music with them, and I'm glad they're parking at the other end of the camp. All right. I'm here, I think, until Friday the 3rd of November. I'm not sure that there's going to be anything happening this month, but I'm confident something's happening next month, big. Now, you're saying, I see your comments, we're not subject to wrath, and you're absolutely correct. That's what the Bible says. But it says in our lives we will have tribulation. So tribulation and wrath are not the same. So it may get difficult, but it won't be deadly. There's a difference. There may be food shortages. Maybe you have to skip a meal, but you won't starve to death. There's a difference. One's tribulation, one's wrath. The severity of it, we're not subject to. And when it gets time for Satan to come down and try to get us, that's when we're getting out of here. Then he's going to have to try to... It says when the Antichrist comes down here, he's riding on the back of the harlot. He doesn't like it, but he's riding on the back of the harlot. He's establishing himself. But he's not ready to rule yet. So the harlot will continue on, but he's down here. So when he's down here, we won't be down here, because we'd recognize him and we call him out on it. Now, there will be Christians around even after we're raptured, but they're going to have to worry about what they say, because the harlot's going to have the blood all over her. Drunk with the blood of Christians. Okay, I'm going to add some footage. I did some quick videoing of the roads coming here just for a little bit, not very much, and a picture of my campsite. So I'm here until the 3rd. I'm going to go down to Kingsland, Georgia, and I'll be in a motel for 2 or 3 days. I don't know what they're doing with me yet. They're paying for it. I'm DP, Director of Photography, and I'm going to be operating a camera. So it's an independent Star Trek film. If you want to see what their website looks like, look up Dreadnought Dominion. And I don't know if it has Star Trek in the title or not, but they do Star Trek fan films. And this was the last one I'd committed to do. I think I committed this pre-COVID, but in any case, I have to do this because I said I would. So I'm using my professional gear for this. It's going to be filmed on a studio. You may have seen some of my pictures that I might have posted. I work on 3 different studios that are Star Trek studios. The one that I'm going to next month is an exact duplicate of the original. Now, there's nothing of the original left. They trashed it all. But there's 2 complete sets in the country. Complete. There's varying other assemblage depending on where they're at. but there are two complete sets. One's in upstate New York, and it's called Star Trek Tours. And the one I'm going to is for filming only. There's no tours. They have get-togethers, but they can't call them tours because the other one's licensed to do that. But they film on this one regularly. And I'll include some pictures. If you want to see what their site looks like, Google it. They have a YouTube site and a website. Neutral Zone Studios in Kingsland, Georgia. And I don't remember the address on the other one. Just Google it as well. We have a lot of fun doing this, and I like Star Trek, at least the original series. It was designed to be wholesome. Martin Luther King said that he loved to watch it with his family. So that's why I like it. It showed a positive future. That's why there was diversity on the bridge. They were hoping by the time we got to the century that it's filmed in, that we'd all be getting along. Well, they didn't know the Bible. If we don't have the Bible, and everything's going on as normal, and we don't kill ourselves, that might be a possibility. But we do have the Bible, and we know what's coming. Now, God's going to give us a new heaven and a new earth. We're going to have new spaceships. Or will we need them? Will we be able to just fly between planets? It's amazing the future that we have. I'm an explorer. I would play some of these video games the kids were playing, but I didn't care about all the fighting and all the other stuff, the achievements and all that. I only wanted to explore the world that these artists created. I remember one game, you level your characters by the number of battles you win, and you collect gear and all that kind of stuff. I didn't have any of that. I just and I mapped out the main continent that everything was on. I think I got to level 3 or 4 or something like that, only because I got points for being in a new level, in a new area. I got back into a senior level area by finding a hole to get through one time. So I'm a level 3 up there, and again, I'm only there because I got points by exploring. So I'd rather do that than anything. That's why I love camping, is I can get out and explore, hike the trails as much as I can. For me to go sit at a lake and fish, not by myself. If I know somebody here and we want to sit and chat, that's okay, but just to go sit by a lake, no, I'd rather walk around the lake. And that's the way, this curiosity that I have, we should all have that about God. I would love to be able to tour the Holy Land. Yeah, mixed emotions about that. I'd love to see the sites that weren't disturbed. How many sites are there that aren't disturbed? Israel is, Jerusalem especially, is really, really tough to do archaeological stuff on. It's built up, they tear it down, and then they come in, cover it with dirt, and build over the top of it. They get that all built up, they tear that down. They come in, cover it with dirt, build over the top of it. They might even use some of the pieces. It's just layer upon layer of history. If they would have stayed true to God through each building, it'd only be the original. It's a history of how they kept coming back to God, drifting away, coming back to God. They can't do it on their own. We can't do it on our own. Without the Spirit, we are completely inept, liable to go off on any wrong direction Satan wants to put out for us. And he's good at that. He's been misdirecting us and lying to us, mankind, for however many thousands of years we've been here. And he practices every day. And he's got some some help down here. You can't go up against him. You can just stand next to Jesus and say, Satan's got something for you to look at. Would you take a look at it for me? He wanted me to look at it, but I'd rather have you look at it. Learn your position and your priorities. Stay close to God now more than any other time in history. I don't care if 10 years ago you could wander off and do things and come back. You can't do that now. There's too much importance, both in what we have to do and too much importance in Satan's head and what he wants to do. Stay with God, close to him. Don't let him out of your sight. And I think we're going to have something major happen sometime next month. I told you my sign of it being this year. I don't see it happening in December. Something that may be when the rapture might happen. It's not tied to a Jewish holiday. Remember, I keep saying that. It might be tied to a Christian holiday, like Christmas. But the world's going to be, it's going to escalate, and it's going to go down fast. And 2 major elections next month, us, Israel, and then they're going to find somebody to put, they might put Boris back in England. They don't like him, but he might get back in. Nobody's going to like their government because the leaders are going to be woke leaders. We are essentially in Israel dealing with woke leaders. In Americas we're dealing with woke leaders. And I hope I don't get in trouble with that word, but when I woke up this morning, I'll mix it in with my general conversation. First thing I did was let the dog out and make a cup of coffee. And it really did help to wake me up. Okay. I'm hopefully going to get used to this. It is warm. I'm in a short sleeve shirt and I'm warm. And you've seen me in my last few videos all covered up because it's been cold. Georgia has, and the South has, what they call Indian summer. You get cold, it's freezing, you have to cover the plants, and all of a sudden it goes back to being summer again. And you go, oh, that cold spell is over with. Go out and plant and do the other things, and then the cold comes back again. So we have about 2 or 3 weeks of Indian summer, if this is what this is, and then it'll turn cold again. I am still asking God what to do about traveling. I don't know yet. My original plan was to head out west, but I am convinced there's something coming big, and I don't want to leave my family here. I don't normally drink carbonation, but I'm trying to clear my throat up. Okay. I have internet close by, Wi-Fi close by. I can do what I need to do. I'm going to have to test the Wi-Fi to see if it's strong enough to do a live show. If it is, I will try to do that. I'm not too far from the ranger station, so I can choose to walk it if I want. I might just drive up there, wait till they close down, and try that. I might try that tomorrow. Today being travel day, and with my voice the way it is, I don't want to do that. Don't need these for talking. Okay. Let me wrap this up. I got to put this together with my morning video and some bee footage, and then I'll upload it for the morning. I may get out and take some pictures. There's a small petting zoo here, so that might be fun for you guys to see. Reptiles and all kinds of stuff. I'm looking forward to that. Be able to hold snakes. All right. Talk at you soon. Maybe in the clouds. But I think it's next month. Alright, I haven't included a travel video in some time, so I am next to the, I don't know, it's a Mogi River or something. I know I'm saying it wrong. There's a good-sized river next here. I'm seeing a lot of right turns to boat ramps. I'm well past Macon, so I'm coming up. I'm not very far. I'm probably about an hour away, no more, from my campsite. So this is middle Georgia. I passed a section a while back that had some cotton fields. There's an old cemetery there. Coming up on a juncture that I'm going to have to take here, so let me go ahead and cut this off. Hey, let's take a look at the campsite. This is my new one. Never been here before. I have a town and a store 3 or 4 miles away, and I have 5G internet, so this is the better of the two on the Okefenokee. I'm in campsite 1 right as we come in. In the distance there you can see the comfort station, restrooms, showers, and laundry. It's $1.75 here. And I'm parked here. There's a Winnebago over there. And then of course the campsites go on around. I'm on the first one, so there's plenty more in the back. I can see some more RVs back there. Well, that's how far I am off the road, so by the time I pull in there with my car right there, it's not very far to take everything you need. They're building a new captain's chair for the bridge that we're going to film on. Pretty cool.